Meanwhile, Joe Biden, I mean, there are so many questions could be asked of him about Hunter Biden, about the business arrangements. It barely ever these days comes up. And during the campaign, when it was hot, when we found out about the laptop, one reporter here, one reporter there, you should have seen his reaction, though. I mean, the defensiveness, the nastiness tells you there's something to this.
Mr. Biden, what is your response to the New York Post story about your son, sir?
I know you'd ask it. I have no response. It's another smear campaign. Right up your alley. Those are the questions you always ask.
Smear campaign. What does that mean exactly? Smear doesn't necessarily mean it's not true, does it? Smear. He kept on saying that. Here's another denial or non-denial denial.
So what about the Americans who really today only want me to ask you about Hunter Biden's laptop? How are you going to get them to see that you are fighting for them when they're so dead set against you?
There's nothing to any of that. Nothing to any of that. It's all a smear. Every major outfit, every serious investigator has pointed out that this is a smear. This is classic Trump.
The laptop? No, it's legit. It is. And anybody can read the book by Miranda Devine. And before this, before the laptop, he was sensitive. The defensiveness, I think, says so much.
Mr. Vice President, how many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
And so how do you know?
Here's what I know. I know Trump deserves to be investigated. He is violating every basic norm of a president. You should be asking him the question, why is he on the phone with a foreign leader, trying to intimidate a foreign leader, if that's what happened? That appears what happened. You should be looking at Trump. Trump's doing this because he knows I'll beat him like a drum, and he's using the abuse of power and every element of the presidency to try to do something to smear me.
He's trying to intimidate a foreign leader. You got that, punk? Amazing. That defensiveness. And the new book by Peter Schweizer makes an amazing case about the Biden crime family. Yeah, I'll say it. This looks really bad. There's evidence out there, and it's really in plain sight. When Joe Biden went to China and Hunter made the trip with him, and Hunter did business with Chinese businessmen and introduced those businessmen to his father at a hotel, that's a crime. That is a crime. You can't be doing that. No, no, no. And the media, they just pretended, it happens all the time. Rank has its privileges. So mess that up big time. And what did the Chinese get from their relationship? And Peter Schweizer will be here in just a little bit. They got Joe's nice feelings about China. That's what they want. They're buying people like Joe off to say things like this.
Let me begin by saying one thing about competition. I've told this to Vice President Xi and then President Xi, and all the time I had to spend with him, is that one of the things that has happened in the last 20 years is as the world has become more competitive, it's awakened the competitive spirit in the United States. Competition is stamped into our DNA. And if there's anything remotely approaching the level playing field, we'll do just fine.
Sounds like it's a harmless statement, and it kind of is in some ways, but that's what China wants. They want our guard down, and Joe has put our guard down. You see what's happening here? They are our adversary. They want what we have, and it looks like they're going to take it. So we're losing to China, and we're falling apart as a country, and Joe seems to like it. The Black Lives Matter nonsense started in 2020. It's still going on. And has the left and Joe Biden glorified this stuff and made excuses for it?
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly.
And Joe Biden thought it was all great, all fantastic. He still looks back at that season with a sense of wonder.
I also spoke to Gianna, George's young daughter again. When I met her last year, I've said this before, at George's funeral, I told her how brave I thought she was. And I sort of knelt down to hold her hand. I said, Daddy's looking down on you, he's so proud. She said to me then, I'll never forget it, Daddy changed the world. And I told her this afternoon, Daddy did change the world.
Oh, yeah, the death of George Floyd changed the world, all right. Take a look. The world is not a better place. I can safely say this. The world is not a better place without George Floyd in it. These kinds of scenes have become routine. This was not routine, not very long ago. 6 New York City cops shot in 1 month. In 1 month in New York. When's Joe going to have a real heart-to-heart, not with officials, not with fellow Democrats, but from this woman, Karina? Her brother was shot and killed almost 2 weeks ago here in New York City. He was just 27 years old, a cop.
¿Cuántos Wilber? ¿Cuántos Jason? ¿Cuántos oficiales más deberán perder sus vidas para que este sistema cambie? ¿Cuántas vidas más de los que nos protegen deberán ser arrebatadas por la violencia y el crimen? ¿Cuántas madres más, cuántos hijos tendrán que perder su familia por pasar por este trauma y este tipo de tragedia? Los oficiales de la policía de New York nos protegen, pero ¿y a ellos quiénes lo protegen?
Those are great questions. Joe Biden came to New York City today to meet with the mayor. Did they talk about any of those questions? No, they had a stale conversation about stopping the flow of illegal guns. All right, now that conversation has happened 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times actually. It's done nothing. By the way, there are probably 7 legal guns in New York City. 7. It's that hard to get a permit. Anyway, it was all style, all puff, nothing of substance.
There is a reason they call me the Biden of Brooklyn. Mr. President, Eric Adams is reporting for duty and ready to serve.
Isn't that cute? I don't know what's up with this political judgment, who would call themselves the Biden of anything. But that's what we got. He's more suited to be an 8th grade student council treasury secretary or something like that. Joe was even worse.
And this doesn't violate anybody's Second Amendment right. There's no violation of a Second Amendment right. We talk like there's no amendment that's absolute. When the amendment was passed, it didn't say anybody can own a gun and any kind of gun and any kind of weapon. You couldn't buy a cannon and when this amendment was passed. And so no reason why you should be able to buy certain assault weapons. But that's another issue.
It's another issue, but he repeats the same talking points he's been using since 1975. It's not about guns in this city. It's about criminals. It's about criminals coast to coast. But they talk about what they know, which is just saying stuff to pass the time, it seems like. Bringing Joe Biden in to talk about law enforcement, that's a big mistake, and this proves it all. And then we'll wrap up.
We need more social workers. We need more mental health workers. We need more people who, when you're called on these scenes and someone's about to jump off a roof, is not just someone standing there with a weapon. It's someone who also knows how to talk to people, talk them down.
I can't believe no one has told him to stop saying this, because our specialized police have the training to talk to these guys who are thinking about jumping off a roof or a bridge. They do it all the time, Joe. Joe seems to think that cops show up and they just start blasting. Joe, what are you going to do? What are the social workers going to do if one of these guys changes their mind and wants to get back down off the building? They're going to need help. They're going to need guys who know how to use ropes and pulleys and cables. What happens if one of these guys who wants to jump wants to take the social worker with them? Huh? Have you thought about this, Joe? Of course you haven't. Of course you haven't. Do me a favor, stop wasting our time. All right, one more thing. The Let's Go Brandon thing, I am happy to report, is not over. Take a look at this on MSNBC today.
The White House sharing some new details. Sharing some details about this gun violence reduction strategy, as it's being called, going to be a big part of messaging heading into the midterm elections. Mike, what do we know about what the president plans to say today?
Well, Craig, there are really three pillars to the president's crime strategy that he's eager to talk about here in New York today.
I love it. I love it.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.